That was pretty good. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's I'm going to be reviewing the all-new Lexus LX 600. First and foremost though, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get right into the review. Under the hood, we have a twin-turbo 3.5-liter V6 that goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy 17 around town and then 22 on the highway, with power outputs being 409 horsepower and then 479 pound-feet of torque. Now let's go with the front end of the LX 600. First off, I love the hood design. You guys can see prominently raised there on either side. And they have these really cool LED lights here on the front as well. And then yes, we've got Lexus's massive front grille with the Lexus logo there in the center. And then you guys can see that grille trim basically continues off to the side. So we've got 8.9 inches of ground clearance here with the LX 600, and it has a hydraulic suspension system that will let it raise 7 inches over normal ride height and lower 2 inches below normal ride height. Pretty good system overall, and it's cool that you have that adjustability. Right now we're in the highest setting, and I don't know how this is 7 inches more. Come around the side here, our tire wheel setup is 265, 50, 22 in the front and over in the rear as well. And then you guys can see here with the design on the wheels themselves, I think it looks really cool with the metallic gray. Now something to note is the brakes on the LX 600 are not massive, and so you could actually fit an 18-inch wheel on this if you want, so you could put a more aggressive off-road tire with this vehicle. Now like I said, I've got the suspension set up in the higher ride height setting. I'm actually a big fan of the fender flares. They're body painted. F-Sport badge, and by the way, the F-Sport package actually gives you a Torsen limited slip differential in the rear. We've got these fixed side steps here, and you guys can see the black there at the bottom of the mirror, and hopefully the camera doesn't die because of all this rain, but there's your full side view. So here's our key fob for the LX 600. You guys can see the Lexus logo there on the back. We have our lock function, our unlock function, the opening for the hatch. And by the way, if you press the lock function a couple times and then hold it down, it will basically remote start the LX 600. But we'll hold this down, and that'll pop open the rear hatch. And this is where things get pretty exciting. We've got tons of storage space here in the back. Of course, we got our Lexus first aid kit. And then you guys can see all storage underneath. And then notice here at the seats, you've got this function to automatically raise it. So this does have a third row. That's actually kind of slow with it. But with the third row folded down, it's got tons of storage space. So I would just keep it folded down. Man, that is like comically slow. And I'm guessing we gotta pick up, oh, we gotta really dig down for that headrest. But once you have the seat folded up, you can see that, yeah, space behind the third row is not very good. And obviously it doesn't have the old school seats where they'd like fold up to the side. So a little bit different. When you are done, just press that and that will lower it back down. Now, finishing things up with the rest of the rear on the LX 600, you guys can see the crossbars there at the top. I love the tail lights here. I think they look so cool. Freaks out the camera apparently. And then of course with our regular badging. And then notice parking sensors here at the rear, but we don't have like prominent exhaust tips or anything like that, except, well, it's right there, but they're not like poking out the back of the bumper, and that's the rear. Now to preserve the life of my camera, we're gonna be doing this from the inside, and then yeah, we'll go over the seats and everything. But you guys can see here, we've got the sunshade here in the rear, and you know, not necessarily the nicest material use at the top of the door panel, but I do like the leather trim down below, and I love the, you know, coloration overall. And then we've got the Mark Levinson sound system. Absolutely love this version of the sound system. It's really good. We've got some piano black trim, and now let's close that. And you can also see like the ambient lighting here. Now it's gonna be pretty dark in here, but you guys can see here with these red leather seats, I think they look pretty cool. Some people love them, some people don't. I'm a big fan. Then got the cup holder armrest, and we have our own climate zone here for the rear passengers. And notice we've got heated and cooled seats here for the rear, and right now just have it in auto mode, so it's doing everything for us, which I don't know, I think is pretty cool. Now in terms of legroom, you guys can see it's pretty decent. That's how my wife has it set up with her side. So yeah, it's pretty good back here, actually, if you guys can even see me. And then we got like this, I love how it's, I don't know, the shape of it and everything. And then venting here at the top too, which is pretty cool. And we got some lights as well. And I guess that now I gotta squish back in the third row. Okay, well now that I'm crammed here into the third row, first off, I guess that we have our own like F-Sport floor mat back here with the red trim and everything, which is kind of cool. But yeah, definitely reserve this for kids. I mean, it's like, I fit back here, but it's not like super comfortable. But the thing that's amazing is like my feet actually would fit. My legs are just kind of like jammed up. But notice here with the whole seat setup, so this actually adjusts my seat right here. And then we've got a little charging port. And then this is for people from that door if they want to raise or lower the third row with those controls. So there's a bunch of controls to raise and lower the third row seats, which is cool. And you guys can probably kind of hear, we do have a bunch of vents and everything back here, so plenty of heating. So again, it's a great place for kids. Let's head all the way to the front. Now here's the front door panel. You got that same design here with all of the red leather and again the ambient lighting yet again. And then I like this trim down below. Memory seats, as you can see, and then we do have blind spot wiring for the mirrors. You can't see because the rain. Anyways, all of our window controls, and then you get your mirror adjustments. The mirrors do power fold in. Another F Sport logo right there. And then you guys can see here with the seats and this F there and the headrest, and then perforated leather. Really like the look of the seats overall. Power adjustments here on the side. Pedal layout down below, and then again the F Sport floor mat. And then we have this for like the camera to pop that on. Steering wheel is power adjustable. I'm actually curious to see how much this thing weighs because it apparently weighs a lot less than the previous version. So 1285 is the payload capacity, and then gross vehicle weight rating 7230. So this weighs right around 6,000 pounds. Let's pop in. So here's the steering wheel with the LX 600. You guys can see really nice leather trim there at the top, and then down below, then we got our F Sport logo. Perforated here on the sides and get a slightly better grip. We got paddle shifters here on the back for that 10-speed automatic. Controls for center stack, volume, voice command controls. And then this does have adaptive cruise control and lane centering assist. It's a pretty good system overall. I wouldn't say that it's any better than a lot of the other systems you see out in the market, but you know, it gets the job done. Turn signal light stock, windshield wiper stock, and there's the steering wheel. So here is the center gauge cluster, and as you guys can see, you've got some analog gauges on either side for stuff like temperature and fuel and all that, and then you've got the big digital screen in the center, which I think it looks pretty cool. You can scroll through some different menus to see different bits of info here on the LX 600, which, yeah, I like the animations, and obviously, you know, practical seeing all the info. Now, we do have some different drive modes we can go between, so notice we've got an Eco, Comfort, Normal, Sport, and then Sport Plus. Notice when you put it in Sport and Sport Plus, it has the gauge cluster be pretty aggressive, and then the other drive modes, it's a little bit less aggressive. I've been driving it in Comfort most of the time, to be completely honest. And then notice here with the suspension how it's raised all the way up, so it says H2. So here's the center infotainment system. If we pop it into reverse, we do have a backup camera here, trajectory lines, and notice as I start driving, it starts filling in because it shows us underneath. And then when you pull forward, it actually does the same thing, but in the opposite direction, which is pretty cool. And you can see that view right there. This would be so good for off-roading because you can see underneath the vehicle, but like you'd basically be able to spot yourself with the system, which is pretty cool. And again, we've got that view button right there. If you press that, then it'll do this weird thing. This is like the least impressive part of the camera system because it's just like, okay. Now it's for the rest of the infotainment system. This is Lexus/Toyota's new infotainment system unit. Overall, it's pretty good. You got the shortcut buttons here on the side, pretty easy to use. My only gripe with this system is that you don't have like an analog tuner button. You've got a volume control off to the side, which you guys can't see because of the lighting, but it's right there, trust me. But like if I want to change channels, so let's just go to this channel here, I have to like press the screen button. And so, yeah, I don't know. I wish that a little bit more with analog controls, which is kind of weird because there's a bunch more down below. So we actually have a second screen down below the whole infotainment system, and I mean, it's got like this little settings tab here, and then actually a little climate tab. I do like the pull-up animation. I don't like the noises though. They're kind of a little bit annoying. But anyways, it shows us like braking, accelerating, G-forces there off to the side. You can turn off the adjustable suspension if you want. Climate's always visible, which is nice. And down below that, we've got a ton of analog controls to the climate system. This is why I'm confused why there's no tuner button. And on top of that, we have, as you can see, a control to go from 4-wheel high to 4-wheel low. And then notice we have drive mode selected. If we push the MTS button, then it actually changes this up here. So then we can go through the multi-terrain select. So we have an auto, dirt, sand, mud, and then deep snow that we can go between, which will adjust the suspension accordingly. And there is also the crawl control as well, which then you've got the dial where you can, basically it's all connected. So depending on what you have selected will determine what, I guess, the mode select dial does. And also now the suspension's adjusting a bunch because it thinks I'm going into crawl control. But now we're at neutral, which is normal ride height, which is fine. I almost forgot to mention with the crawl control, if you have it on, to turn it off, you have to press it again and then it'll go to the drive mode. Anyways, we've got my crappy wallet, but you can see more storage space and it's illuminated. Notice everything says auto on it. That's because we have the climate concierge. So just set the temperature and it'll do everything for you, which I love. More cars need to have that. Shifter for that 10-speed automatic. It feels good. Like, just, yeah. Got a parking brake here. Auto hold center locker, because again, this ultimately is an off-roader. And then we've got our stability control. And then this is to adjust the ride height yourself. Wireless phone charging pad. And then we have the cool box, is what it's called, literally. And so it's off right now, but you can turn it on. And yeah, it is a cooler and a glove box. But you can open this up either side, which is pretty fancy. And then, yeah, we got some nice trim here, and then up above on the dash. And then huge glove box, which is nice, and more nice leather trim on that. And then last but not least, we do have a sunroof here at the top. We've got our little sunglass holder and then control for the sunroof right there. And then just a darker colored headliner. So here's our window sticker for the LX 600, and this one actually has the 8,000 pound tow rating, as you can see. But this is going to be the most popular package, the F Sport package on the LX 600. So you guys can see the standard equipment, and then we've got the base MSRP here, and this does have a few options added to it. I do recommend the sound system. It's expensive, but it's also an expensive vehicle, and it's worth it. $107,585 is the total MSRP on this. Let's see how this thing drives. Well, let's talk about visibility before we set off. Here's visibility over the hood. Both of the mirrors, which do have blind spot monitoring. And then throughout the rest of the rear. Again, I love that ambient lighting, actually. Let's set off. So we're setting off here in the LX 600, and I've decided I'm going to use this beat up road for all of my driving reviews now, so that I can basically just test every single vehicle on a crappy road to see, you know, with sports cars, how well they handle, you know, with all that kind of stuff. And then trucks and SUVs, right? How comfortable are they on, you know, more beat up pavement? And what I can tell you with the LX 600 is the suspension is actually pretty good with this, but this is held back a massive amount by the fact that it has such big wheels. I just don't get why manufacturers like Lexus put huge wheels on vehicles like this and market them as off-roaders. Like, there's no off-roader that has 22s. Like, that doesn't make sense. They need to put, again, this could fit 18-inch wheels. They need to put 18s on this, all-terrain tires, and that would help out with the ride quality, especially going over these bumps and everything, because seriously, you feel everything in this. Even when you're in the comfortable drive mode settings, it still is like a really bumpy ride. You feel all the potholes, and yeah, it just doesn't feel the best. I guess I'm spoiled maybe with the new Ford Raptor, because you know, it pretty much just, it's floating down the road. And so yeah, that's my only complaint with that. Power's great. Steering's actually really good. So this is actually an LX that is fun to drive. It's still a 6,000 pound SUV, but with that Torsen limited slip differential and with this upgraded steering and the lighter weight, it handles pretty well for what this is, and it's actually somewhat engaging to drive. Okay, so we're gonna brake boost this in just a second, but notice the camera pops on every single time you come to a stop, which is, yeah, sometimes annoying. But anyways, brake boost a little bit. That was pretty good. Yeah, whew. That gets up. That gets up. That's quick. That's for sure. Now, I will say that unlike the sports cars, you can't really hustle this down a road like this. It's just, yeah, too much body roll still. Again, it's a 6,000 pound vehicle. But what I will say is that higher speeds, it seems like the suspension does a pretty, again, okay job with soaking up some of the stuff. It's just the wheels that you're getting pretty harsh impacts from, you know, not having a lot of sidewall in the tires, and then just, again, having really big wheels. I know I've complained about the wheels for like half this driving review, but I don't understand it. And like here, I'll go off the road a little bit here. It's fine. Like, when you're on, it's weird, when you're on like gravel and everything, it's fine, but when you have like roads like this that, yeah, need some maintenance, it just doesn't absorb as well as you'd think, basically. But some daily driver stuff. Seat comfort's great. Like I said, climate concierge, I'm a huge fan of that. I think it's a great feature overall. Does great on the highway. It's really comfortable. Again, when you're just daily driving this thing, it is fantastic. It's a really good daily driver. It's just when you're trying to use the utilitarian side of things, that's where it gets, I guess, a little bit confusing for me. So to sum things up here with the new LX 600, in terms of the exterior styling, you know, I think it's a lot better than the LX 570, but the front end is still just a little bit iffy. Now, in terms of the interior, I think this is a big improvement, again, over the LX 570. I like pretty much everything about this, other than the fact that I don't have like a dedicated, you know, tuner button. I like to have some analog controls, but it's weird because this has a lot of analog controls, but not a tuner button, which is so weird. It's a great daily driver. It has all the modern stuff that you'd want in a luxury car. Now, obviously, this doesn't have the most extravagant interior, but that's not the point of, you know, the LX 600. The point of the LX 600 is to give you a luxury experience that's going to last hundreds of thousands of miles. And you can tell with, you know, the material used, the fit and finish, this stuff's all going to be just like this in, you know, 200,000-300,000 miles from today. And then in terms of the sporty driving, this F Sport actually is really solid, and this is the most popular package on the LX 600, and I think that this is the package I'd recommend, because the higher up luxury packages, I wouldn't waste your time with it. They're really expensive, and this has all the luxury features that you could want, and it also has all the performance features you could want. The only thing that I'd change about this is just the tire and wheel setup. I would get rid of the 22s and I would put 18-inch wheels on this and put, you know, either, you don't have to put all-terrain tires on it. I would, because I like to do some off-roading, but if you're just gonna drive this on road, you could just put some tires that have some decent sidewall, and trust me, you'll thank me, because your ride quality will be so much better. But I will say, I have to say this because I'm a little bit bitter. I think that the biggest mistake that Toyota and Lexus made was by only releasing this in the US and not also giving us a new generation Land Cruiser, because if I could get this experience with a Toyota badge, $20,000 less, like what happened with the LX 570 and the previous generation Land Cruiser, I actually would have bought this for my wife instead of the vehicle that I bought her, because I feel like this is just perfect, truck-based, solid rear axle, so like it just has this big substantial real SUV feel. It's really comfortable, but then it's also capable off-road. It's got tons of space for groceries, for kids, all that kind of stuff. Like, this is literally the perfect vehicle for what I'm looking for. But I'm not a fan of the Lexus styling personally, and also, like, I'd be okay with a Toyota badge for $20,000 less. Let me know what you guys think about the new LX 600. And overall, I think it's a great SUV. I really wish there was a Toyota version, and I wish that they would offer a true off-road version with off-road tires and wheels from the factory. That's because something's up with our video on this LX 600. And with that being said, I'll see all of you in the next video.